Now, before I go on, to reduce the bulk of our statement, to make it look less bulky, we can apply aliases to our table names. So we can give employees an alias E. This is a temporal name. We can give employee territories ET. So when we call the columns within each tables, we simply call them with the alias E dots, and ET dots. So what this does is it reduces the time we spend typing. It reduces the time we spend typing all of the long table names. And that's why aliases are very, very important for efficiency. It gives us the same result. So let's write a customer order join. So to carry out an inner join within the customers table to find customers that have placed orders. If there are orders without customers, we don't want to see that. If there are customers without orders, we don't want to see that. We only want to see where customers placed orders. We carry out an inner join and say select C dot customer ID. Let's look again. What do we want? We want to see the customer name. In this case, is company name. We want to see the order ID. So say C dot company name and O dot order ID from our first and left table is the customers table. We'll give it an alias C because that's what we use here. So this C simply represents the customers table. And then join, inner join, it can also be joined. So let's just go with join. Join orders, give it an alias O on the column they have in common is customer ID. If we had order ID here and we had order ID in the orders table, we could use that. So but what we actually have in common with these two tables, what these two tables have in common is the customer ID column. So these are the keys we will use. Then we'll come back and say on C dot customer ID equal to O dot customer ID. So when we run this, we'll simply see all of the customers that placed orders. There will be no null value. There will be no null area within our data sets. That's that for inner join. So left join. Let's say we want to see, let me run this query again, this employee territory. So let's say we want to see all of the employees and we want to see if there are territories that do not have employees, like there are territories where some employees are not in charge of. Let's say, the management wants to find territories that do not have employees that are in charge of them. So what we'll simply do is the same thing we'll have to do, but in this case we'll change the join type. So we want to see the employee ID, the first name, the territory ID from the left join simply keeps all the values from the first table. The first table you specify in your join is your left table automatically. So it simply keeps all the values in the employees table, right? And then we are working with left in this case, so let's say the left. So the employees territory is now our right table. That is the second table. And what we are joining with is the employee ID columns. So when we run this, what will happen is if there are territories that do not have employees in charge of them, this territory ID would show null. Like if, let's say there are some territories that nobody is in charge of, right? You will see null in this column, in the area where they don't have a match. So when we run this, this data set is actually a complete data set. We won't find that. But if we find an incomplete data set and run this, and there are territories where employees are not in charge of, you see null, especially at the bottom. You see null this way. So the right join does exactly opposite of what the left join does. It keeps all of the territory ID, because the territory ID in this case is our right table. It keeps all of the values, but any value that doesn't match, that is an employee that is not assigned to any of these, it shows a null in this area. It shows a null by the left hand side. Let me just say it that way. So when we change this to a right join, it gives us null in any of these areas, right? So, but this data set is a complete data set. We can't demonstrate that here. But most of the time, we definitely use join. We only use join most of the time, especially when you want a complete data set. So how do we carry out a full outer join? Remember, in Mysql, Mysql does not have any keyword called full outer join or full join, but it is possible to join two tables together as a full join using the union keyword. So how do we do that? Let's say we want to see customers and orders. Remember, if the two tables do not share any key in common, you can't carry out a join. So you need to check the table. What do they have in common? The employee has employee ID and in common with the employee territories, right? What these two tables have in common is the employee ID. The customer and orders table have customer ID in common. The products and let's see. The product and order details have product ID in common. The order details and the orders have order ID in common. So you need to look at the tables and check what they have in common. The columns, what columns they have in common before you carry out your join. So in the case of, let's look at products now. Products and order details. You see that these two things, what they have in common is the product ID. But let's look again at order details and orders. You see that what they have in common is the order ID. So let's say we want to join the orders and order details because we want to see like a full table of orders and we want to apply a full join, right? To see the full table, the full orders table, because these two tables, they simply are separated. It has the order date, the required date, the ship dates, the freight, ship name, the ship address, the city, region, postal code, country, while the order details simply shows the amount, and the product ID of the product that was purchased. So we want to join these two to see like an all-round information of the orders that we place in this company. So we start by saying select. What do we want to see? Because we want to see all. If we want to see all, we could say select O dot all. Remember, the asterisk stands for all. And we want to see order details. Order details, OD is the alias for order details, dot all. Then we'll start and say from orders O. Then we'll carry out a left join first. We say left join order details. Left join order details, which is OD. On what they have in common is the order ID. So O dot order ID. Remember, if you are carrying out this join accurately, Mysql gives you the column recommendations. Once you start, you put the alias and put dots and you start typing the column name and you see recommendation, know that you are on the right track. Then equal to od dot order ID. So we've carried out the left join. Now, remember, I said we can't carry out we don't have a full join or full outer join keyword in Mysql. So all we need to do is do a left and right join, and then we combine the statements. And how do we combine the queries? We combine it by using the union. So we say union, and then come down here. I'll simply copy this. And paste it down here and change the left join to right. So we see excuse me, let me adjust this. Okay, so we see that we selected all of the columns in the orders table and all of the columns in the order details table. Then we carried out a left join. Then we specify the columns that would use to carry out the join. Then we use the union to join these two statements. And then we change, it's simply the same thing, but we change the left to right. So what this does is it keeps the orders, all of the orders here. It keeps the first table, literally, it keeps all of the values of the first table and it keeps all of the values of the second. The right join keeps all of the values of the second table. So that's why it's called a full join, because all of the values now are, in one table when we run this. So when I run this, all of the columns in order, the orders table first, because our first table is orders, then the second table is order, our second table rather is the order details table. So for every order here, we'll see the order details of every order here. So we can carry out what you call it, you can carry out full outer join when you want to see like everything, all the values in both tables. So these are join scenarios in a business.